Watch this before you listen to Gary V. Make sure to click the like and subscribe button so that you're always notified on another post. The link to this blog post will be in the description below, so check it out. Let's get started. I know that doing a blog post against Gary V can be quite dangerous, so I'm prepared for the war that may happen. But what I have realised is that he has one of the most loyal fan bases that I have ever seen. But before you shout at me, at least read through this blog post fully and understand that I have done a lot of research about him and I have put in a lot of thought to make sure this blog post sounds educated and fair. Also, I'd like to get this out the way by saying I don't hate Gary Vee at all. I think he's a pretty cool guy that helps a lot of people overcome themselves and become successful. I even subscribe to him on YouTube. But just like everyone on YouTube I come in with an open mind, pick some golden nuggets that the person may say, then I disregard the rest. So this blog is more about the rest part of Gary Vee's advice. Let's get started. Gary Vee is well known for his hustle, the work 24/7, the work harder than anyone else. Imagine not doing anything fun or going anywhere for the next 8 years, including Saturday and Sunday. That's what I did from 22 to 30. Every day I spent 15 hours a day in a liquor store. That was by Gary Vee. But is this necessary for success? Or is it just a way to get burnt out and eventually hate the work you once loved? I don't believe that I need to give Gary Vee an introduction, since a lot of you probably know him, but I will keep it brief. Gary Vee began working at his family's retail line when he was 14 years old and spent all his time working in the business from weekends to weekdays. The hard work and dedication paid off, and by 2005 he grew the wine business from $3 million a year to $60 million a year. Then in 2011 he went off to create a digital ad agency called Vaynerchuk. He also made a few good investments in Facebook, Twitter, Uber and Venmo. I think that Gary Vee is a great example of what it's like to be a true entrepreneur. He gives the message that anyone in this world can achieve success if they put in the work. But the one thing that annoys me is when he always talks about putting your head down and working. This is a quote from Gary Vee. If you put your head down and just work for the next 10 years, no glamour, no new car, no new jet, no new phone, no trip or event, no new sneakers, then you will have it. And every time you care about one of those things I just said, it will slow down your process. My take on this advice is that it isn't for everyone, and it's certainly not the only way to becoming successful. And I know that my advice isn't for everyone either. You have to find what works best for you. But my experience is that I became very miserable when I did nothing but work 24/7. This is what I would do from the age of 17 to 22. I didn't do anything but work on my online business. I had 0 friends. I would wake up at 7 a.m. and go to bed at 1 a.m. every single day. And then I would do the same thing the next day. I repeated this schedule for 5 years straight. The only time I would take a break was to talk to my parents once a year to wish them a happy birthday. And even then, I would have at the back of my mind all the tasks that I had to be done. My only bit of socializing was talking for 1 hour to a friend I used to go to school with. That's it. But here's the thing, as much as I loved what I did, and it never felt like work because I enjoyed it so much, after a while I just simply became miserable and lost my personality. I felt like I wasn't myself anymore. I was the type of person to know exactly what to say in a sales letter, or the type of person to know exactly what demographics and long tail keywords to use to rank for higher on SEO. But once he took me out of my work, I felt clueless. All because I was doing what Gary Vee says, which is work non-stop, put your head down, and just hustle. As Gary Vee said, have 4 jobs, Wendy's, Walmart, your side hustle, Starbucks, work, train, learn. The issue came around after doing years of this. I started to think to myself, I am miserable, what is the point of all of this? Over time, I slowly wasn't becoming myself anymore, and I realised that I had been sacrificing these early years just to have a stack of money at the expense of being an emotionally drained, unhappy and uninterested person. I wanted to be more than just the person who put work above everything else, and it took 5 years to realise that this isn't for me. At first, I was really difficult to start having fun, but over time, I got more and more used to the idea that I could enjoy myself and work. I wanted to become way more than just this robotic worker that could only sit on his computer with his headphones on and work. And in the process of doing that, I started to feel better. I believe the reason for this was if you have less time to do something, you start to pinpoint and focus on the tasks that will give you the best results. I realised that when I wasn't doing all-nighters, took breaks and hanged out with others that were like-minded like I was, my income went up. The silly and small tasks I want to focus on were now swept under the carpet because I was nosediving into the tasks that yield the best results. But another thing I stopped and thought about was that those younger years were extremely important to gaining the progress that I am currently on today. But those hours and workload could not stay with me forever. What used to be extremely fun working all the time eventually turned into a dreaded chore. It started to lose its interest, and I slowly wished I could be one of those people who were out there blowing their money at clubs with others and having fun buying dumb things because they were the exact opposite of the things I was doing. Here's what I think. Most of the time you're not as productive as you think you are. If you looked at what you do every single hour of the day, I guarantee that half of the time you are spending in the grind is leading to nothing productive or worthwhile. You could have cut those things off, had some free time, been able to mess around with others and achieve the same result. And be honest with yourself, if you are strictly counting the work hours, track it. I think you are going to realise that you have a lot of small busy tasks that don't get you any closer to your goal. But it's easy to hide behind those and say, oh, I'm working 12 hours a day, 14 or 16 hours a day, because we are told that's the solution to success. As Gary Vee said, just put in the work and enjoy eating shit and dirt and bleed and the grind. I use work as an excuse not to deal with other things in my life. And one thing I have learned about increasing my income is that if you work smarter, you can work less and devote more time to your well-being. And you could even earn more money by making the hours you do work count. For most people, they don't want to be defined by their work. They don't want their work to make up their entire being. And there is nothing wrong with that. And some people don't want to put in 12 to 18 hours every single day for 10 years. I want to have friends. I want to go to Starbucks. I want to have those days where I just stay in bed watching cat videos because I know that these are the times that refresh me. So when I do work, I am much more productive and better. And I'm not just making this stuff up either. It was noted in 1920 that an executive began studying the productivity of his employees and noticed that their efficiency heavily dropped when they worked too many hours in a day or a week. So to combat this, he made a new rule that gives employees 18 hours a day, 5 days a week. He found that switching back and forth between 10-hour days and 6-hour days, 10-hour day and 6 days a week, and 8 hours a day and 5 days a week, that he could accomplish just as much in 5 days with fewer hours as he could in 6 days with more hours. Also, his employees felt happier. By the way, the person who thought of this idea was the one and only Henry Ford. There's also the Parkinson's law that says your work expands the time available for its completion. This is why you can burn off an assignment in a day when actually you had a week to do it. If you're given 20 hours to do a certain task, you will probably spend the full 20 hours to do it compared to if you were given 12 hours. The reason why is that you will find smart ways to finish your work. In conclusion, please don't feel guilty about enjoying yourself once in a while. This will help you become a more well-rounded person and enjoy life more. I know some people love the grind, but I believe that's a very small percentage of entrepreneurs. Most of us are better off having a bit of a cool down than coming back to work. So with all that said, thank you so much for reading this post. I really appreciate it. And if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to share it with other entrepreneurs. It helps me out. Also, make sure to check out my blog called INFFO. So you can see videos, drawings, images, secret tips I share with my email list, and a ton more, which will make sure you stay on top of your entrepreneur game. And if you want to check out my social media, I'm on Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn and Reddit. I post there every day, so if you want to be part of it, feel free to add me. Thank you for watching, and remember, greatness is within. Make sure to like and subscribe, everyone, so you're always up to date. And remember, the link to this will be in the description, so you can click on these links, alright, in the description. Click there now, and you'll be able to click on all the stuff here. Until then, see ya.